Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time.
Welcome back to History Class, where we have been learning about the Incas. We talked a little bit about them yesterday. We mentioned that they were in South America. They mostly in the area of Peru, but all over parts of the western coast. They were probably the most powerful group in South America for quite a while. So what was life like for the Incas? Well, the Incas, again, were farmers, like a lot of the other civilizations we've mentioned in this area. They were also builders. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Much like some of the other civilizations we mentioned, they had a caste system, which means wherever you were born, that was where you stayed. In other words, if your father was a farmer, then you would be a farmer. If your father was a builder, then you would be a builder. If your father was a priest, then you would be a priest. If your father was one of the government, one of the nobles, then you would be a noble, like that. And wherever you were, that's where you stayed. It's not just in families, it was also in your neighborhood. Wherever you were born, that was where you were expected to stay. It would be like if you grew up in Cox and Hole, but were never allowed to leave. Wherever you were, that was where you were expected to stay. It was very hard for people to travel, especially if they were poor. Now there were a lot of riches. The Incas had a lot of gold and other things like that, but that was mostly held on to by the ruling families, the nobles, the emperor, and things like that. The laws in the laws in the Inca Empire were very, very strict. According to the records, there wasn't a whole lot of crime in the Incan Empire because the punishments for the laws were so severe. For example, if you were caught stealing, you know what they did to you? They cut your hands off. Yeah, it's hard to steal things if you have no hands. If you said bad things about the gods, then they would kill you. If you were, there are all sorts of things like this. If you broke the law, you had to pay, no matter who you were. Even the nobles had to pay. So it weren't a whole lot on personal freedom. So it would be hard to live as an Inca. Be good if you were a noble. If you were one of the common folk, it was a little bit harder. So what kind of place did they live in? Well, we mentioned the city of Cusco yesterday. It was their capital. Remember, Cusco is their word for belly button. Because just like the belly button is the center of the body, Cusco was the center of the Incan Empire. Incidentally, there was a greeting in Cusco, a way of saying hello. Instead of saying hello, when you saw somebody, you would say, let me pull this up to make sure I'm reading it right. You would say, instead of saying hello, you would say, don't lie, don't steal, don't be lazy. Yes, don't lie, don't steal, don't be lazy. That was how they would say hello, because it was the way that everybody was expected to live. And that was basically the main part of the Incan law. As far as they were concerned, if you didn't lie, if you didn't steal, and you weren't lazy, then you were doing everything that you were supposed to do. If you didn't, like I said, you got punished pretty hard. Anyway, Cusco was the capital of the Incan Empire, but it's probably not their most famous city. Their most famous city would be this, Machu Picchu, where that means old mountain. It's that city was built way up high on a mountain, And all those stones you see, they had to be dragged up or carried up or pulled up that mountain, no matter how big those stones were. They had to be pulled up. How'd they get them up? Well, we're not exactly sure. They probably pulled them up with ropes. But the Incas were very, very good builders. You see all those rocks there to come together? There's no cement holding them together. Those rocks, they fit together so tightly and so well that they don't need to put any cement or anything to hold them together. They were probably built that way to help out when the earthquakes came, but we don't know. Machu Picchu, as I said, the famous city. You can still go there today. Much of it is still standing. It was built by Emperor Pachacuti. I mentioned him yesterday. What for? We don't know. Maybe it was a palace for himself. Maybe it was built to honor their gods. We don't know. Machu Picchu is their most famous city. You still go there today. I'd like to go there sometime. Maybe someday. But this is a little bit of what life was like for the Incas. The Incas, they were the most powerful people in South America until the Spanish came. But we will talk about that on Thursday. For now, let's go over our questions for today. Question number 1, what is the Incas' most famous city? And that is the city of Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu. It means old mountain. Question number 2, what is the capital of the Inca Empire called? And that was the capital of Cusco. Cusco. And question number 3, what was their version, the Incas' version of hello? Instead of saying hello, instead of saying hola, what did they say? They said, don't lie, don't steal, don't be lazy. It was how everyone was expected to live. Okay, there we go for today. Tomorrow, we won't have it tomorrow. Thursday, we'll pick up and find out what happened to the Incas. Stop for now, and I will see you